Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Soulful Conversations. I have genuinely wanted to start this series for a year and a half now. I started the yoga page literally 18 months ago, and I love yoga, don't get me wrong, but I just miss yapping and giving my advice and talking shit. I used to have a podcast with my best friend Jen called Miracle Mindsets. It was just the light of my life. Like, I genuinely adored it. So I wanted to bring it back to my Soulful with Sam page. Hope that this page helps. I hope that you get everything that I want you to get from these episodes. And without further ado, this episode is going to be about confidence, because something for me that I struggled with so much. If you ever listen to Miracle Mindsets, you'll know that I had such bad body image issues. I really lacked confidence. I had such low self-esteem. And the biggest thing that I've learned is that, like, we can truly change our beliefs, our identity. We can step into a more grounded, confident, sexy version of ourselves. And it genuinely all starts in here. It doesn't start from working on your body, it starts from working on your mind, unlearning the shit that you've learned that doesn't serve you, and really doing the work to become the best version of yourself. If you lack confidence, you genuinely are not going to be living the life that you want to live. You might be looking on the outside, seeing people happy in their body, in a happy relationship, traveling the world, starting their own business. And if you lack confidence in yourself, you're not going to back yourself enough to take those steps to living that kind of life that you want to live. We aren't put here to live a mediocre life that we're not happy with. Like, we deserve the very best. And I think that sometimes we can look external and think, oh my God, I could never do that. Oh my God, like, I'm not a confident person. That would never be me. I hate my body. And use all these excuses without looking within and being like, if someone else can genuinely start their own business, if someone else can travel the world, if someone else can start saving money and love their body, so can I. And all it is that mindset shift. And I think it takes you getting to this point where you're like, I am not happy and I'm not living a life that I want to live, in order to genuinely cut the shit and be like, I am not living like this anymore. I started my self-development journey maybe like 10, 12 years ago now. I just, I wish that I could show you the version of me that I was back then, because I just was a shell of the version that I am now. And that is why I am so obsessed with mindset. I'm so obsessed with doing the work, and it is work. The things that you do in private radiate in public. Like, the people that do this inner work, do shadow work, journal, meditate, like, really get deep with themselves about what isn't aligned in their life. Like, you can see it in their aura, their character. Like, they are just like a different level of glow, of confidence. Amazing things happen for them. And it's because they're not afraid to go a little bit deeper within themselves, do the work. And that is what I'm going to teach you. One thing that you take from this video, let it be this: your brain changes through repetition. Everything starts with a thought. So when we came into this world, we were literally a blank slate. And over time, through conditioning, through our family's beliefs, through our environment, high school, everything, we mold our beliefs on our character, on who we are, what we're capable of. And they started with a thought. When we've repeated to ourselves over the years, I'm not enough, I'm not qualified enough, I'm not creative, I'm not very talented, I could never travel, God, I would never be able to start my own business. When we constantly repeat this to ourselves, it becomes our belief system, it becomes our reality. And once we have a solid belief, we have this thing in our brain called the Reticular Activating System, and that literally filters out all the information around you and seeks things that support your belief system and your reality. So when I didn't feel good enough, like when I felt like horrible in my body, when I didn't feel good enough, I would literally always find ways that I was comparing myself. I'd always look in the mirror and feel a certain way, and my reality reflected back to me what was within. And that's exactly what happens. That, what's that saying? Like, as within, so without. However we feel on the inside will reflect on the outside. And so if your life isn't how you want it to look, if you don't love yourself enough, if you don't feel confident, if you constantly keep feeling rejected, or you don't feel happy in your current reality, you need to understand that it all starts from within. And it might take a while to unlearn all of the shit that's built up over your life, but you can. Your brain can change and you can change your reality. Like, I wish that I could genuinely show you that little version of me and you would be so shocked, genuinely so shocked. We can change our reality, but it starts by unlearning the things that don't serve us, unlearning our limiting beliefs. 6 years ago, I had never set foot in a yoga class. I was rubbish when I first started. I didn't know anything. And last year I studied for a year to be a yoga teacher, where I'd practice daily, I'd embody it. And now my reality is that I am a yoga teacher and I teach yoga. On my bucket list in 2010, I wanted a life advice channel. And me and Jen started this podcast. We didn't even have a microphone. Like, it was diabolical when we first started. We just consistently showed up. We started to get a little bit more confident in front of the mic. We'd start doing research. Then we actually started to ask guests to come on. And then suddenly, these huge guests in the wellness space, millions of followers, such respected people, said yeah and started coming on our podcast. And then our reality was completely different. We got to UK top 20 and then we were podcasters. So when we repeat something enough, we start to embody it. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you believe certain things about yourself, you can start to believe the opposite. And over time, if you continue showing up for yourself, you will become that version. You'll become a more confident person. You'll love your body a little bit more. You'll be in a completely different body. You'll have a different mindset, but it takes time. And I think sometimes we just want this like quick fix. We're in a society where everything is so instant, but that doesn't happen with change that is sustainable. One of my favorite quotes is, the path gets clearer the more you walk it. So sometimes when you're first starting something, for example, like yoga or building a website or starting something new, it feels so uncomfortable. You don't know where you're going, but the more steps you take in the right direction, the clearer it becomes. The first tip that I would give is to rewrite the script. If there's an area in your life that you are not happy with, the chances are you have a limiting belief about it. You don't believe you are worthy of what you're asking for. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Jay Shetty, and what is her name? I think she's called M on the Brain on Instagram. Said on the podcast, get really comfortable with your fears. Get really clear about what you have believed up until now. Get really clear about what you're fearful of, what your limiting beliefs are, what you're saying to yourself that doesn't align with the life that you want to live. Think of the person that inspires you or you aspire to be, who is confident, who has the life that you want to live. Do you think their reality in their mind is saying the things that you say to yourself? Probably not. Look at the areas in your life and get really, really real with yourself. What do you believe about relationships? What do you believe about money? What do you believe about yourself, about what you deserve? And get genuinely really real and really sit with what you grew up believing about that. So when I started working on beliefs about my body and trying to change the love I have for my body, because I hated my body. I genuinely hated my body. I did a timeline of everything that got said to me when I started feeling a certain way, what triggered it. It might have been a comment from my brother or somebody's dad. All these little comments that as a teenager I absorbed became part of my reality that made me not love my body and made me think that I wasn't good enough. And I got really real and sat with all of it and did a timeline and gave love to those younger versions of myself. You can do that through meditation, you could do it through a letter journaling, but we deserve to truly be in love with our life and our body and our everything, you know? The deeper we get with these soulful conversations, I will go more in depth about things, but inner child healing is a real thing. Like, all versions of ourselves up until now still live within us, which is why we get triggered by things, which is why we don't feel good enough, which is why we react to our partners in a certain way or our friends in a certain way. There's old versions of ourselves that haven't healed, that still live somewhere within us, that when something triggers it, that younger version of us comes up kicking, screaming, whatever she wants to do. And it's so important to make peace with the past versions of you that haven't healed. And I think that was the hardest thing for me with my body, like actually going back and really sitting with the years and years of me telling myself, I'll never lose weight, I'll never be good enough. And it's so crazy because when you do make peace with it, when you do genuinely heal, like I lost 3 stone, like I'm so much happier in my body now. My body's the best it's ever been. And it's because I genuinely unlearn these beliefs that I'll never be happy in my body, I'll never be a smaller size. And it's crazy how your reality will change to bend to your beliefs. Second thing that I would do after that is write a new reality. Write down the new reality. If you believed differently, if you believed completely different about this, if you believed in yourself, if you believed that you could start your own business, if you believed that you could travel the world, if you believed that you could have this amazing body or this amazing relationship, what beliefs would you have? How would you show up differently? How would your habits be different? When we start to shift our focus on like what we would actually do differently, then we actually start to pivot our mindset and we can actually start to take the steps. So for example, when I got back from the UK recently, I was just drinking, eating copious amounts, having a good time. It's all good. But I got back and I was like, oof, like my habits are way off. I don't feel good in my body. And so I started showing up for myself every single day. I bought a new fitness plan. I was going on runs. I was doing sunrise yoga. Suddenly I've lost the weight. I feel so much better. And it's because in that moment when I felt bad about myself and I got back and I didn't feel great, instead of dwelling in that mindset, which is what I used to do all the time, it was straight away like, what can I do differently? And how can I show up today one step at a time? I think that as well is where we go wrong. Like we think of this outcome so far in the future and it's too big for us to understand. And so we don't take the little steps, but the path gets clearer the more you walk it. Baby steps, like 1% better every single day. And I actually did a reel about this, but if you want to get better, start a note on your phone that's 1% better each day. Body, mind, action. One thing you've done for your body, one thing you've done for your mind, and one action step that you've taken to get closer to the version of you that you want to be. Third thing is to get really real about the version of you that you want to be. Like, what does she look like? How does she talk? Write down a list of affirmations and start repeating them to yourself daily and start to genuinely question your thoughts. When certain things trigger you, ask yourself, why is this triggering me? What older version of me is coming up right now that needs to heal? And when you start to question your thoughts, you'll understand that they aren't beliefs at all, they're just stories that you've told yourself over time. The next thing is to always keep the promises that you make to yourself. This is a huge thing that I actually learned from Breenie Lee, who is like one of my favorite YouTubers. When you tell yourself that you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're breaking the trust with yourself. When you break the trust with yourself, you become an untrustworthy person. So when you're making these vows to yourself that you're going to change and you're going to become this certain version, you actually don't believe that you're going to do it yourself, you know? So start keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Every day, set yourself a little goal to do something. Drink 3 liters of water, go for a walk for 20 minutes, and start keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Every time that you do this, you are showing yourself that you respect yourself, showing yourself that you can rely on yourself, which again boosts trust, boosts confidence, and you will start to become a woman of your word, which is what you want. In this one as well, what I think is such a good idea, make a list of everything that you're actually scared to do and start ticking it off. You know, if you're scared to reach out to people to come onto your podcast, spend 30 minutes doing it. Do you follow that girl who does rejection therapy? She's actually from near me, I think, but she literally goes to a Starbucks counter and is like, can I have a free drink? And does these crazy things, and it's rejection therapy, but you become unbreakable. You become so confident in yourself. And I think that the more I've done YouTube videos, the more I've put myself out there, the more unshakable I've become, the more confident I've become. So start doing the things that you're genuinely scared to do and you will become unrecognizable. The third thing is start this journey of self-love. Like start to see it as a beautiful chapter, a beautiful period. Like when I first started this self-love journey, I used to journal at home on Pinterest. This was in high school, and look at self-love journal prompts, and I'd spend the evening, light a candle, I'd journal it all out, treat this as a journey. Like when I first went through a breakup in 2022, I went all guns blazing into self-love. Like I was reading every day, I was getting up and meditating and coming back to myself. and see it as a beautiful chapter, like the journey to loving yourself. Like read books, meditate, buy yourself flowers. I've got such a big list of books that I can recommend, but it's a beautiful chapter. Like, you deserve to love yourself, you know. Start making mood boards for how you'd want your life to look. The way you're going to shift your reality is when you shift your focus. Like, when you're focusing on lack, on how you aren't good enough, like, life is never going to be good. Like, life will never be good when you're focusing on lack. Like, write gratitude lists, start to plan things. Like, when I was coming here to be a yoga teacher, I used to live in Australia when I was 18, and I knew that I wanted to come back. Like, I knew I needed to come back. Like, here is my place. And at the time I was £4,000 in debt, and I had no visas to get back onto apart from the student visa, which is thousands of pounds. And when I decided that I was coming back, I booked the flight before I even knew anything else, and I started to do mind maps of ways I could make money on the side, other jobs that I could do, and genuinely I made it happen. I was here within 6 months, and it's like, when you decide that you're going to change, when you make the decision to start loving yourself more, it becomes easy, like, it becomes exciting, and you deserve to be happy. I actually have a note in my phone, and it's called Lovely Things, and it's like, if anyone ever says anything nice about me or my energy, I always just screenshot it and put it in there, because it's so nice sometimes when you lack confidence to actually understand, like, people love you, like, people adore you, someone's daughter, best friend, like, you are such a lovable person, and we would never be as cruel to ourselves as we are to other people. And so, like, doing a note like that is just so nice in understanding, like, you are loved, you know. We shouldn't need other people's validation, but it does help, and it does help to know that you are loved, and whenever you're feeling flat, it's a good way to boost that confidence, honey. The fourth thing is that you are responsible for your mindset. So often we blame other people, we blame our friendships, we blame our parents, we blame other people for the way we are, which I don't discredit that people have a huge effect on us. You know, if you've been cheated on before, or someone's betrayed you, or, you know, people haven't been nice to you, of course that affects your confidence and who you are, but you shouldn't let it live on. And the effort it takes you to think these negative thoughts, you can change them and think positive thoughts. And like I said in the beginning, it might not make sense, you might not believe what you're saying, but over time, through repetition and through evidence and through keeping the promises that you make to yourself, you will start to be the version of you that you want to be. You can use things to become better or bitter. It's as easy as that, but we are responsible for our mindset. Make it a vow to yourself to only speak the things that you want into existence. Don't talk about debt. Don't talk about how you're not happy. Like, you might feel like this, but the power of our tongue is so real. Like, speak out what you want in your life. Start to be delusional about what you want. Like, I remember me and my friend, when I was like planning on coming here, I was like, I'm just going to be so delusional. My life is amazing. I'm so lucky. And genuinely crazy things started to happen. Like, when I got here, I had a job. I didn't even apply, and I got given a social media manager job that I'm still in. It's actually crazy. If you wouldn't say the things that you say to yourself, to your friends, don't say it to yourself. I'm saying question your thoughts. You need to be conscious of the things that you're saying to yourself, because so much of it, 95% of what we say, how we think, is unconscious. And so we need to get so conscious of the things that are running through our mind in order to change them. Awareness is key to change. So really start to take note of the things that you're saying to yourself that don't align, and cut them from your vocabulary. When you're thinking them, snap yourself out of it using, it's called an anchor. But if you're saying something in your brain, just say, shut up. Like, shut up, stop saying that. And this sounds a bit cuckoo, but the version of you in your mind, if you label her and name her something, when you're hearing this stuff, say like, shut up, Sheila. You don't know what you're on about. I sound cuckoo. I genuinely sound cuckoo. But giving her the label, separating it from yourself, makes you understand that you are not your thoughts. You know, if you can hear your thoughts and change them, they aren't you, you know? You know? My boyfriend always says how expressionate I am. Final point of my little confidence episode, micro habits, changing your character, deciding who you want to be. So what I was saying before, deciding who you want to be, traits, values, their habits, what they eat, how they talk, who they surround themselves with. When you get really clear on that, you can embody that in this moment. You can embody it. So like if you're around people who are negative, who don't cheer you on, I did a reel on this the other day, but like you've got to be so firm in yourself and so strong and love yourself enough to cut those people off and surround yourself with people who clap for you, who cheer you on, who have bigger visions for themselves. When you get really clear on who you want to be, it's so much easier to embody that version of you. Like if she wears nice jewelry, if she does her hair, like it's so easy to just do that in the present moment and start embodying that version of you. I was saying before, 1%, small actions day by day. If you say to yourself, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes this morning, and you do it, it's an achievement. Like you've told yourself you're going to do something that aligns with that future version of you. And if you do it, your belief in yourself becomes stronger. And if you start to do this every single day, you're going to be so much better within a month. You're going to be a new version of yourself within 90 days. Language is so important as well. So when we're talking about affirmations, you don't say, I am not fat. You say, I am becoming the best version of myself. Instead of saying, I am wanting to be consistent, I am consistent. I'm becoming that version of me. I am so lucky. My life is looking exactly how I want it to look. Opportunities are falling into place for me. Like the things that we repeat to ourselves, like I was saying before, our reticular activating system, the more we believe it, I am lucky, opportunities come my way. Surround yourself with proof. We need proof in order to confirm our belief. Put yourself in environments, put yourself around people that are the version of you that you want to be. They can show you that it's possible. When me and Jen were doing the podcast and we had Mo Gowda on, we had Steph Claire Smith on, who are all incredible people in the wellness space, and we learned about their stories, we were like, this is so possible. This is so possible. So if you can't put yourself in those environments, listen to podcasts where people are talking about what you want. Listen to stories that started from nothing and now have what you want, you know. Put yourself in those environments, listen to things that light you up. Final thing is just repeat until it feels natural. Repetition is the only thing that I can keep saying. Like, we learn through repetition, and so the more you start to embody the version of you that you want to be, the more you start to say to yourself, I am becoming that version, and the more you start to unlearn the beliefs and to take your focus off the beliefs that you've always believed, you will become that version. You will become more confident in yourself, and you will believe in yourself so much more. Thank you so much for listening to the first episode. I hope that you took a lot from it. I genuinely have missed doing this so much. And I'm so excited to bring you more stuff that is going to better you.